We're here for the very eye-opening, very sad, very infuriating movie chosen by Cody since it's his mandate, Judas and the Black Messiah.
When I dedicated my life to people, I dedicated my life.
You get to go out there, talk about dying a revolutionary death, because you don't have another person growing inside your body.
Anywhere there's people, there's power.
Judas and the Black Messiah tells the story of Fred Hampton, chairman of the Illinois Black Panther branch, and Bill O'Neal, the felon turned FBI counterintelligence agent whose actions led to Hampton's downfall. Judas and the Black Messiah smartly focuses not on Fred Hampton, but on Bill O'Neal, the man who is simultaneously on both sides of this conflict, yet on neither. It also offers a heavy and dreary look at the reality of America, but at the same time gives you a spark of hope in the perseverance of people like Akun and Jerry and Fred Hampton Jr. Early in the film, they also mentioned Che Guevara, and this is a bit of a tangent. He wrote about the fundamentals of revolution, described in FOCO theory, which says that in order to draw sympathy from your community and highlight the inequity of the people, revolutionaries would use small acts of violence to provoke larger actions from the state, knowing that in the eyes of the oppressed, state actions are always more reprehensible than the actions of an individual from the community. Guevara's influence on the events continues with the focus on revolutionaries acting as a replacement government, moving into more oppressed areas and acting as a support system for the people, offering food, aid, and protection to those in need. Back to Judas and the Black Messiah. If it has one weakness to highlight, it's the lack of focus on fleshing out the effects of these practices. It showed the flip side of that, though, the negative impact on the community, particularly in the case of Winters and his mother, who viewed Jake as a kind and good-mannered man who went too far and got himself and others killed. Tendency of like male individualism in activism, where the men can choose to follow their beliefs as far as they want to, but the women are left to live on with the responsibility the men leave behind. Kind of shows like no one is actually an individual when every action you take is affecting everyone around you. Overall, though, I think this movie doesn't succeed specifically because of its stories or its socio-political content. It succeeds because it blends all of these aspects and more in a way that brings the viewer into the story and shows the lives of people involved in a way that leaves the judgment up to the viewer. The acting is top-notch. The music is straight up fire. The script is carefully crafted and for the most part well-paced. The direction is subtle but impactful, and the visuals are always striking. Also, goddamn, Kaluuya can do some phenomenal voice work. Also, shout out to my girlfriend Marley, who knows a ton about this stuff. Helped me out with gathering these thoughts a lot. Yeah, I love this movie.
Holy shit, man. I watched Last Black Man and Do the Right Thing, then One Night in Miami, then Judas and the Black Messiah. So I was just like, holy shit, I'm overloaded on a lot of really serious shit. So immediately after finishing Judas and the Black Messiah, I watched Don't Be a Menace in South Central while you're drinking your juice in the hood, and goddamn, I fucking loved it. But back to Judas and the Black Messiah. I liked it a lot. I wish I liked it a lot more than I do. I felt like Bill O'Neal was a little bit directionless in a majority of it. At certain points of the movie, for sure, it took a heavier focus onto Fred Hampton, which I felt like it didn't do a good enough job at depicting both Fred Hampton and Bill O'Neal, because when they were dealing with Fred Hampton, Bill O'Neal was sidelined. And then the only time he really does become a focal point is when he's talking to the FBI agent, what's his dick? Fucking Roy Mitchell. Roy just takes a super weird turn, like maybe like halfway through the movie, or when they ask him that super weird question about his daughter, and he goes from kind of being sympathetic to not, and I'm just like, whoa, what the fuck? Like, where did this this come from? But I do highly recommend it. I think anybody that gives a damn should definitely watch this movie.
Excellent story, delivers strong performances by Get Out's Daniel Kaluuya and Lakeith Stanfield. It's a dive into 1960s Black Panthers, Chicago, Illinois chapter. Absolutely a compelling story, and it's a dive into the dark American history that kind of goes untold. I actually had to do a lot of research because of this movie, just because I had so many questions after it, which is good because the movie should inspire that, and we've talked about it in the last movies. It did inspire a lot of questions. Truly a movie that owns up to its name of Judas and Black Messiah. Definitely worth a watch.
Well, first, let's get this one out of the way because I've had someone debate with me on this. Is it biopic or is it biopic?
Biopic sounds like a porn.
Is it a biopic, like a thing for your eye?
Look,
I'm gonna watch this video from American Pronunciation Guy.
Okay.
So the guy with the English accent said biopic.
Fake news. All right, review.
Well, I want to say this. When I was done with the movie, I was a little kind of on like how I felt about it. I was like wondering, was I not hit hard enough because I just watched Malcolm X, which is considered one of the best. We never got our answer to biopic or biopic. So biopic is the British pronunciation and biopic is the American pronunciation. So both are correct.
I've never heard anybody say biopic.
I witnessed what a biopic could be. Is it something that you go in completely blind to? Is it something that you have a semblance of information of? Like, how do you enjoy something like this that's based off like a real event? Do I treat it like a regular movie? Everything that it tries to do, it does it well. I don't think any part was super standoffish to the point where I was like, holy fucking shit, this directing, this score, this is like high tier and I'm going to be remembering it for a long time. Everything was good. It was good. It wasn't not one thing was bad. I think everyone could agree that Kaluuya is the main driving force behind this movie. Love that man. The other main guy who plays Bill O'Neill, Lakeith Stanfield. I was wondering to myself if I didn't like his performance, if his performance was weak, or if Kaluuya was just that damn good. I was also incredibly happy to see Jesse Plemons, a guy who plays Roy. Ever since the death of Philip Seymour Hoffman, it has been incredibly hard to find any actor remotely that can fit that role. Normally, I would prefer something that tries to experiment a bit out of the norm because, most of these movies like this have this structure. Putting all that aside and trying to judge it in this weird mixed spectrum again, fantastic performances, not all good music, but there's some music that's been stuck in my head afterwards, and then some that I completely forgot. I think the cinematography was fine. I think the directing was fine. It makes me very happy that you guys went out of your way to educate yourselves on that. And I think just because of that too, like it makes me like this movie more because it got you guys who I like to actually do that. And if something had that power over you guys, it brings even a bigger smile.
The argument between, what a biopic could be, again, is assuming
I like
from
that
Spike
you landed right in
Lee's.
between the two pronunciations.
He did.
Did I? Okay.
Yeah.
That's
It
me
was
in
the
the middle.
blend.
It was beautiful.
The justice they would need to do, considering this is not a figure that is often covered in media, where the fear, I guess, would be over stylized again, or maybe not delivering in the proper way, could harm its introduction to the mainstream. So this more reserved approach, the way the movie is told, you could go show this at a school and then have everyone go away with more knowledge on the situation and what happened. The main thing or the takeaway was just like the suffocating feeling you have, especially watching kind of the puppet masters. We have Daniel Kaluuya kind of doing the movement, kind of pushing for freedom. But at the end, like you have this feeling that no matter, even if Bill O'Neill wasn't in this situation where he was the Judas, something bad was going to happen regardless. Again, they were going to silence this voice by any means. I wish they could have dove more into how they went about doing that, but Bill O'Neill is the focus. It's about the Judas. So they have a bit of the interview that he had for this show. What was it called, Cody? It's Eyes something.
Eyes on the Prize.
Eyes on the Prize. I was able to watch the full uncut interview, and his interview is basically one for one in the way this story is laid out as far as the timeline goes. So with his being his point of view, his overall movie, and him being the main character, I would say, I thought it was very well done, and the information was very well delivered. So as a historical spotlight, I thought it was fantastic.
One of the first things I wrote, and then I accidentally left it out in my final review somehow, is the focus on how the police and the FBI basically made the Black Panthers into actual terrorists, antagonizing them planting these people and trigger that fight or flight.
Right now, if there's like that kind of movement, they don't need to have weapons. Their weapons are social media, their weapons are cameras, And back then, it's like there was nothing. The social media and the videos and recording people is stronger than actually having a gun. You know, it's a lot stronger now than it was then.
But
I mean, just a good way to summarize everything. It's one of the opening, one of Bill O'Neill's opening lines. Having a badge is like having an entire army behind you. Like Cody said, the police and the government, the FBI, forced their hand because what else are the Black Panthers going to do? They either have to try to remain peaceful, which is what Martin Luther King Jr. was preaching, because they were going through going with multiple ideals. They weren't just sticking with one ideology to sit with and to marry. They were going between the two.
Trying to survive. They were just trying to survive at this point, legitimately.
Whenever there's a soapbox moment where it's just a scene of someone giving a speech, it could very easily be cheesy, but still having Daniel's performance in this, it just blows it out of the water.
This is what we call the people beat. Started in 1966 by Huey Newton and Bobby Seale. It's the beat that manifests in you, the people. They can't never stop the party unless they stop the people. Well, ain't you high? Ain't you high? I'm high off the people. I'm high. I'm high. People. So if you asked to make a commitment at age 20, you said I'm too young to die, then y'all dead already.
I think Daniel Kaluuya is the fucking powerhouse.
Kaluuya was a fucking powerhouse.
If he doesn't get a nomination for Oscars, I'm gonna be fucking pissed.
Yeah,
dude.
he better get one. He better get one.
Especially if they nominate him for supporting actor, which would already be a crime.
Technically, that would be the correct nomination, but I agree that'd be wrong.
Me personally, I knew very minimal about a lot of the figureheads and a lot of the leaders in the civil rights movement. There's tons and tons of doors just that movies like this open for a lot of people that are willing to receive it. Those people who aren't willing to receive it, it's just going to be another movie for them.
There's the really great aspect that people who don't know stuff, as we guys were talking about right now, like all these new people that are going to be interested in this, are going to go out there and look at it. And then there are the people who did know all this stuff who are now going to be rating it off of like what's already like known and stuff. You have history to like adhere to, but there's also unspoken parts of history. The victor writes the history books. So we don't really know like all of that, you know? It's the one thing about this kind of stuff that always bugs me because we really don't know.
The events that happened here, I wasn't blown away by what happened.
Yeah.
By the fact that what happened at the end is what happened. Just like we talked about last week and 2 weeks ago, it just still applies.
It's been a heavy ride all month, not just in the film choices, but classes, you know.
We all should treat ourselves with some ice cream to, fucking cope a little bit with pain.
You're gonna get some mint chip.
Yeah, some mint chip. Don't brush your teeth.
Izzy, if you were to hypothetically reel it in, what would your final review of this be?
Reeling.
All right.
And
Am I the
segment
first
of the show named by Izzy, where we give the final consensus on the movie. Go ahead. Who wants to go first?
I'm very glad that this was made. I am very glad to see all of you super excited and like learning more about it. It really, really makes me happy as someone who is like a history fan and loves seeing people like informed on all this shit, you know, like it does make me incredibly like happy. To me, like history and stuff is like really like personal. Like that's how you learn. And we've learned a lot from this past month that, yeah, the past is never dead. I'm glad this movie was made. I'm glad that it's incredibly accessible and it's also on a platform that, yeah, like a lot of people have right now. Like it's going to get out there. People are talking about it. I think the performances are great. I don't want to say all the music. I want to say some of the music because there were moments where I had to like my musician's ear like lit up and I was like, that right there's good. But it didn't come up often.
When they walked out of the Crown's headquarters.
There was many of the jazzy moments were definitely like this. And there's one song that's like used twice throughout the movie that has kind of these like horns and like or muted like trumpets that I really, really like super early on and also later on. The word is accessible, but it follows the biopic like formula by, it's by the book, but it's a touchier subject for me, as we've already like talked about. Like it's a specific genre, and because it's so based in reality, like how do you handle reality? I'm not going to be lying when I'm saying its impact unlike you guys and on other people that have watched it, is playing a role in my rating because I am very happy that it like does that. So I'm going to give this a 4.5.
Yeah, I mean, again, within 1 year's time, I hope to revisit this and kind of see where it stands culturally as a like either like a milestone or a moment in time where we're like, oh yeah, that happened, and then we kind of just continue to be like, oh, Fred Hampton who, but we'll see.
That is also something I wonder is how I'm gonna look back on this later on, but right now, while it's fresh in my mind and I'm just learning about it for the first time, it's a 5 out of 5.
Okay.
So I'm pulling down Eddie's hand.
Right.
It's not a race, guys. It's not a race.
To start off my my final review, does anybody else think that Cody looks like a knockoff Wario with a beard?
Oh, that's me,
What?
man. No, not even close.
How? Wait, what?
No,
I don't see it. I don't see
Let's see
it.
a scowl.
Maybe
His
Cody said
nose
it.
is in pink.
hang on.
Cody, just give me a quick wham.
Yeah, you got that real.
Oh, you know
Stop, douchebag. There it is.
Okay, that was it. That was the missing ingredient.
This is a great accessible film that leads you to a lot of bigger and better things. My only kind of issues with the film, I should say, is just the amount of times that I was taken out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything that you guys have said about it so far. I think it's great. I think it does a lot of good things for a lot of things that should already be being talked about, but they're not. So 4 out of 5 for me.
Lakeith Stanfield, Dominique Thorne, Daniel Kaluuya, amazing performances. The costume design, the set pieces, I really felt like I was in old 1969 Chicago. Like everything felt organic. I have a personal and professional review. My personal review is 3.5 stars just because I don't expect myself to watch this again. It's a good movie, but it's just like most war biopics and
Bionicles.
Which is
like based off of those movies, like I don't really see these over and over and over again. I was happy that it made me research. I was happy that it made me dive into the history. I feel richer for have done so. So 3.5 personal and 4 stars professional.
Well, mine's very brief. Going through with the interview of Bill O'Neal, this seemed to really reflect his point of view and the way he kind of depicted the story and the timeline of the movie. So I think that adds merit to the way it's laid out. But again, even if that wasn't the basis for that, how the story was laid out, I think just the way it is delivered, the way the story is packaged to the viewer, I think it's very easy to digest in that way. So I hope that this is informative. And at the moment now it's a 5 out of 5, but I will definitely watch this again in a year and hopefully it stays a 5 out of 5. I guess right now we typically bounce out, but we've been doing the individual plugs.
Yes.
Okay, who wants to go first?
I really want to see Come See. It's supposed to be like a creepy horror movie, but I can't afford $20 right now. So go on Shudder and watch essentially the same movie, but it's a Shudder version of it. First hour is wonderful. Last half hour, hit or miss. But if you're watching for a creepy children flick, good movie to watch.
Follow my new Instagram account. Checked off the watch list. You could keep up with everything I've been watching. And speaking of what I've been watching, I watched Masaaki Yuasa's Ride Your Wave. So this is the same guy who directed The Night is Short, Walk On Girl. This guy brings back an old era vibe fused with the modern anime vibe we see today. My heart couldn't handle the fucking cuteness, but it was also a very great lesson on grief and getting over loss.
excellent. Hello, I'm Eddie. I have 2. The first one is going to be Tortas GDL Imas. I just went there today. They have this this super delicious torta called Tortas Ahogadas. God damn, Gerardo, link the Google Maps in the post later on.
You know I will.
Right here.
And the second one, a news channel from the boy Sean King, the North Star. Go check them out. They're pretty dope. That's actually where I found out about the letter from the NYPD officer that played a part in the Malcolm X murder, which I've also linked in the chat. And Gerardo will also link somewhere
watch Man with a Movie Camera. It was made in 1929 in Moscow, Kharkov, Kiev, and other places in the Soviet Union. And it seems to be one of the first non-narrative moving pictures. There's like a disclaimer at the beginning that says, this is a picture made using a movie camera, but without the use of a story or a narrative. Super interesting. The like rescans of it, the digital scans are very high quality. Also, I really like gin and tonics, but most tonic water is kind of bad. So I bought this Rose City tonic from Portland Syrups. It's extremely good. You mix it with seltzer water. It's fire. It's way better than any tonic you can buy off the shelf. I recommend that.
This month we did all black films for, Black History Month, and I think we're transitioning into women movies directed or led by women. So my recommendation is going to be A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night. It is a vibe. It is a visual dream. First of all, it's a woman director, but it also takes place in somewhere in the Middle East. We'll keep
black
saying
and
that,
white,
but very romantic, very thrilling. But again, overall, the word I would describe it with is it's a vibe. The show is over. Thank you, Cody. Thank you, Eddie. Thank you, Izzy. Thank you, Nick. Thank you, myself. And we'll see you guys.
Thank you guys for joining us for this entire
Nice.
3 dicks that we have seen in a row, not 4. I was incorrect. So on the cock counter that I now expect on the corner of this screen here, I would like you to change it from 4 to 3. But no, as Cody said, this movie, it's subtle in its